Welcome to On the Chain.
John, welcome to On the Chain. Great to have you back. One of our favorite guests, and again, always thrilled that you keep coming back. So when we ask you
guys,
to come on,
thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I know we got a lot to talk about today.
I guess the big question on everybody's mind, and there it is right there. Why did Ripple agree to a compromise with the SEC? Not only Ripple, but also Larson's and Brad Garlinghouse's attorneys as well.
Well, it's a great question. And let me say this. Reasonable attorneys are going to disagree. Okay. So Ripple had two choices. And I don't speak for Ripple. Everybody knows that. In fact, I personally would have chose a different path. And I'll tell you why. But I guarantee you that if you had 5 Ripple attorneys and they voted, it would have went 3-2. Like, fight. And we can't get any worse. Oh, but it really can get any worse, but it's still worth fighting for, and it came down to a decision. Look, I personally probably would have fought it because I would have then, and I say that selfishly because it would allow maybe for XRP holders to write a letter and participate and talk about the damage this is being done to retail holders as well. And I'm sure Ripple and their attorneys thought about all this. And they came to the decision that it is better to go with certainty. And I think that the Ripple lawyers probably told Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderati, listen, you got a 50% chance of getting a couple months early in the grand scheme of things, and a 50% chance of it being a lot worse. And when you're faced with that decision, you may have to go with the certainty. Now, for example, everybody trusts Jimmy Fallon, right?
Hell yeah.
Jimmy tweeted, I don't speak for Jimmy, but I know I saw his tweet. He said this was a good move. And Jimmy is on Team XRP holders, and I'm on Team XRP holders. And so that just goes to show you, I would have said maybe we fight it. Jimmy goes, no, this is probably the best decision. And so everybody needs to understand that people on the same team could disagree.
To me, it seems the longer this drags on, the more it potentially benefits the SEC. Yeah,
I think we're seeing why a lot of people don't fight the SEC, and we're seeing why they steamroll everyone because, as far as I'm concerned, they have the facts against them and they have the law against them. And so when they can't win, how do they try to win? They just delay. And it certainly could be this is their leverage, right? What leverage do they have if there are talking settlement? And there could be 0 talks of settlement, right? I have no idea. I don't have any insight on that. But if they are, this is their leverage. We can continue to pound you on the calendar and drag it out. And so I agree with you. It favors the SEC. It certainly gives them the most leverage. You know what I mean?
Maybe there's a political element that we're, forgetting about, that we always have to continue to remember, that we're going to also have going into November. We're going to have a complete changeover of the House and Senate. And so maybe at that point, we'll also have a little bit more, a more favorable climate for regulatory clarity in this space. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, no, you could. Obviously, the executive order is still out there hanging over. And when they would come back, when are they supposed to come back in September and report or something like that?
Supposedly, yeah.
But here's the reality. It is possible that there is some type of executive order that comes down before a decision by Judge Torres on summary judgment comes down, absent a settlement. And so there's no doubt that we're not privy to everything, Jeff, that you're talking about. And there could be things happening behind the scenes that, we're just oblivious to that are impacting these decisions.
This is another big one people have been talking about. Can we go after the SEC or Jay Clayton or Bill Hinman personally right now?
You could, and you'd lose.
Okay, so let's get
and all I'm saying by that is, listen, if I could file a case, I would, right? They have sovereign and qualified immunity in their personal position. And as much evidence that we've uncovered about the conflicts and the appearances of improprieties, I'm telling you, it's not enough unless you can get subpoena and you can get emails and you can get all those types of things, right? As bad as it is right now, it's not enough to overcome qualified immunity attacks. And what would happen is, imagine if if a judge looked at it and said, nope, qualified immunity, you don't have a smoking gun. All you have is appearances, and you have things, maybe there were some conflicts and there should have been some disclosures and there should have been some recusals, but that's not enough to get past the government and sovereign and qualified immunities that we attach to our government agencies.
How does the delay and all these commotions that are going on right now, how does that impact the XRP community, case against the SEC?
Well, a lot of people have hitting me up on Twitter saying, as amicus counsel, can I do something about this scheduling? And the answer is no. And this is why in the beginning, if you remember, I filed a motion to intervene to be named a defendant, right? To be an actual party to the case. Because when you're an actual party to the case, then I have to be involved in all of these things. I didn't ask to be amicus. I asked to be amicus in the alternative. I said, this is what we want. We want to be named defendants. If you won't give us that, then at least give us the amicus curiae. And the judge went with the amicus curiae. But if I thought that I could write a letter to say, Judge, throw out this joint proposed scheduling order and not alienate her, I would do it. But from her perspective, both Ripple and the SEC, the two parties of the case, have come to her and said, we agree with this schedule. And if the defendant, whose entire business is at stake, is agreeing to it from her perspective, then the amicus guy needs to sit down and shut up. I mean, that's in essence what would happen, and it would alienate her. And I'm not going to alienate her because I'm about to ask for certain things, right? Because I have to write an amicus brief. Well, in order to write a meaningful amicus brief, I need to review things that aren't in the public domain, right? That are not put on the docket to the public to see. Certain evidence that's being presented. For example, these experts, if they're going to talk about XRP holders, I have to be able to read that testimony in order to write a meaningful brief. And so what we're doing next is I'll be reaching out to both the SEC and Ripple very, very soon, privately, asking them to what is their position going to be. Is the position of the SEC going to be, Deaton, you're not entitled to anything? You're not allowed to see anything? Maybe. Is Ripple's position, well, we think you're entitled to this, but nothing else? I don't know. But shortly after I find out what their position is, then I'll probably have to ask permission from the court to allow me to have access to review certain non-public materials.
Right. All right. So here's a follow-up, or here's a question. And I think we touched, some of this a little bit earlier, but so the question here is, can we draft a notice of maladministration against Gary Gensler and put it out to all the XRP Army to sign and send Gary a certified mail to put more pressure on this guy?
We can, and I encourage everybody, I'll sign anything as far as, criticizing him and trying to get him ousted. But I got to tell you, I'm firmly believe that Gary Gensler does not give a crap about retail holders of XRP, crypto, or anything else. I mean, the man is, I reached out to him professionally in his office that just simply said, listen, go after Ripple all you want, but I've got 60-some thousand people that, we asked to be sued because this is so extraordinary. Like, there's a way to do this where the retail holder doesn't get screwed. And like, they won't even acknowledge it. Like, they won't even acknowledge our existence. And so, the man seems to be genuinely offended about ability to collect interest from stable coins, and like
Sure.
you gotta protect us from that, right? You got the Celsiuses and the BlockFis and the Nexos, and it doesn't bother him that a US holder is missing out while international can collect 9% interest. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's like he just doesn't care.
Doesn't care.
He just doesn't. And it saddens me to say that, but it's true.
If so, let's say, you know, November rolls around, different political climate. Let's say they pass some legislation that is crypto friendly. They create some you know, some rules of the road, so we have a little bit more clarity on what may or may not be deemed a security. Potentially, maybe also looking at the CFTC having a little bit more jurisdiction than the SEC. So let's and we're just in a kind of in a what if scenario, because we
Yep.
might get, we see a changeover politically and they drag their feet, still nothing happens. Well, let's say something does. We're hoping that we're going to have a better political climate for that. Does that have an impact on the case if they have some sort of regulatory clarity, or does it then does that make it easier for settlement?
Oh, it makes it much easier. I mean, it depends. The devil would be in the details and how clear, if you got something like, let's take an extreme scenario in our favor. If you got something like what the UK's FCA did, where they said, listen, we're going to evaluate these tokens, and there's a security token, and there's an exchange token, and there's utility token. And they evaluated XRP, and they said XRP is a hybrid token between a utility and an exchange, but not a security token. If it was that specific, then it would trump this case, right? Because that's Congress, that's the new law. If it wasn't that way, and it was just more, vague, positive, but vaguer than that, then it certainly could be used as a settlement, especially if the CFTC was designated as the agency that will oversee this industry, if you will.
So, from Jeff and I, thank you so much for coming on here, and also for the XRP community and the on the chain community as well. So we thank you for gracing us with your expertise. I mean, this is what we want to hear from and hear about. And great, thank you for spending the hour with us.
No problem. Thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure to be on.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.